At sunrise, the forest looked endless. Pines climbed into mist, the lake held the sky like glass, and somewhere beneath all that beauty, one small boy would soon vanish into the green. His name was Ethan, and in a wilderness this wide, the question was terrifyingly simple. How do you find someone so small when every tree looks the same? Just an hour earlier, everything had felt safe. At the campsite, Ethan's mother laughed as a tent pole slipped from her hands. Ethan's father caught it before it hit the ground, and Ethan spun in a circle with a fistful of tent stakes like he had been given the most important job in the world.
Careful, Ethan. Those are for the tent, not for building your own fort.
What if my fort is better?
Then we may all have to move in.
Morning light spilled across the lake shore. Birds swept over the water. A few butterflies wandered through the tall grass near camp, and Ethan followed them with the kind of bright, patient curiosity children have before they understand how quickly wonder can carry them too far. He helped unzip sleeping bags, carried kindling one piece at a time, and kept glancing back toward a brilliant butterfly that flashed blue and orange between the trees.
Stay where we can see you, okay?
Okay.
He meant it when he said it. When the butterfly lifted again, Ethan stepped after it. First past the cooler, then past a fallen log, then between two thick pines where the shade felt cooler and the sounds of camp softened behind him. It never felt like leaving. It felt like following. The butterfly danced over ferns and wildflowers, pausing just long enough to keep Ethan moving. He smiled, pushed through branches, and hurried toward one more patch of light, then another. When he finally stopped, the butterfly was gone. Ethan turned around, expecting to see the tent, the lake, or smoke from breakfast. He saw trees, trees ahead, trees behind, trees in every direction.
Mom?
No answer.
Dad?
Only the forest giving his voice back to him in thin, lonely echoes. Panic did not arrive all at once. It crept in, first as confusion, then as a faster breath, then as the sudden urge to move before standing still became too frightening. Ethan called again, louder this time, and started walking without knowing which way would bring him home. His boots pressed into soft earth. He brushed past low branches. He slipped once in a patch of mud and caught himself on a root. Behind him, the ground kept the record of his fear. Small footprints, bent grass, disturbed leaves, a broken fern stem trembling back into place. Ethan did not know it, but the forest was beginning to remember where he had been. Back at camp, the morning had turned ordinary in the way dangerous moments often do, just before they changed everything. Ethan's mother set out cups beside the camp stove. Ethan's father checked the cooler and looked up.
Where's Ethan?
I thought he was with you.
The silence after that was short, but it was enough.
Ethan!
Ethan!
Their voices crossed the campsite, then pushed into the trees. They searched the shoreline first, then the trail to the restrooms, then the brush just beyond the tent where small shoes might have wandered and stopped. But the woods gave nothing back except distance.
Ethan, answer me.
By the time the light began to lower, worry had become fear, and fear had become action. A call went out. Neighbors from nearby campsites joined in. Then radios answered from farther away. The problem was no longer a family looking around camp. It was a search.
Dawn found Ethan where the forest had left him, damp, sore, thirsty, and terribly alone. For one dizzy moment, panic pushed against his chest. Then Ethan closed his eyes, took one slow breath, and remembered the three things that mattered most now: water, shelter, and staying where help could find him. Instead of running blindly through the trees, Ethan made himself look carefully. He studied the ground, the leaves, and the thin silver light slipping between branches. He was weak, but he was thinking clearly, and that mattered. All around him, broad green leaves shimmered with early morning dew. Ethan stepped gently from plant to plant, cupping his hands and tipping the cold droplets toward his mouth. It was not much, just tiny sips gathered one leaf at a time, but the water soothed his dry throat and gave him a small spark of relief. That little success changed something inside him. Ethan could not control the whole forest, but he could control his next good choice. A little farther on, a cluster of bright red berries caught his eye. Hunger made them look tempting. Ethan crouched beside them and stared for a long second, wishing the answer were simple. But he remembered the warning not to eat plants he did not know. In the forest, a mistake made from hunger could become a much bigger danger. So Ethan stood up, stepped back, and left the berries exactly where they were. It was a hard choice, and it was the right one. Survival was no longer about doing whatever fear demanded. It was about patience, caution, and trusting what he knew. Then, from somewhere beyond the treetops, a sound rolled through the morning air. Ethan froze. He listened again. A helicopter. Hope hit him so fast it almost hurt. Ethan grabbed his red jacket and ran toward the widest opening he could see, stumbling through brush and over roots until he reached a patch of sky between the trees. He waved the jacket with both arms and shouted until his voice turned ragged.
Over here. I'm here.
For one breathless second, Ethan believed it had seen him. But the helicopter kept moving. The sound faded. The opening above him was empty again. Ethan lowered his arms. The disappointment landed hard, heavier than the hunger, heavier than the cold morning air. He wanted to sink to the ground and let the hopeless feeling take over. Instead, he stood still and fought through it. If a helicopter had come this close, then search rescue was near. That meant one thing. Giving up now would make no sense at all. Ethan wiped his face, took another breath, and made a new decision. He would stay findable. He would keep making smart choices. He would last long enough to be found. By afternoon, the sky had darkened into a heavy gray. Wind moved through the trees in restless waves, and the first drops of rain began to tap against the leaves. Ethan did not wander deeper into danger. He searched for cover and tucked himself beneath low branches and the thick edge of a fallen tree, where the forest could block at least part of the storm. Soon the rain came hard, pouring through the woods in sheets. Water ran over roots, splashed into mud, and soaked everything it touched. Ethan held out a small container and let the rain fill it. The storm made the forest colder and harder, but it also gave him what he needed most. Little by little, he turned the downpour from a threat into a resource. Night brought stars, prayer, footprints, rescue, and at last, Ethan ran into Ethan's mother and Ethan's father. Hand in hand, they walked out beneath the sunrise, proof that careful choices, hope, and faith had carried Ethan safely home.